Hi, I'm Dawn McCrae, and I'm here to talk to you about the time of American education system where the American Indians were sent for education. Oliver Howard, he became a general during the Civil War time. He was later appointed to the Freedmen's Bureau as commissioner. And during the Indian Removal Act of 1830, when the children from many tribes were actually assigned to trade schools. They were sent there for usually up to 10 years or so to learn the traditional education. One of the schools that they happened to be sent to was actually the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. That is actually located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and it's only about 40 miles away from here. If you can look at the picture right here, men learn the woodworking and finishing skills. And the woodworking could have been furniture, it could have been carpentry, it could have been to build some of the local homes or things in the general areas in town. Skills taught in these schools didn't necessarily take into the account what culture these Native Americans came from. There was overcrowding, that was an issue. The meals were provided, and teachers focused mostly on the skills that were needed for the jobs of building, such as the reading, the math, but only those skills that were necessary for the jobs that they would be getting. For women in the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, many who attended these were not allowed to teach, or they weren't allowed to use the languages of the tribes they came from. So they would lose those language skills in favor of learning English. They were also not able to remember a lot of the survival skills from the tribes they came from after they graduated. So when they tried to go back to their tribes, a lot of them didn't know how to survive in the tribes they went home to. A lot of them learned to acculturate to the white culture they lived in for the 10 years at the industrial schools. Women at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School learned how to do serving, housework, and cleaning. This type of education went on for about 50 years. This type of placement continued, and this was the typical method of education for the Native American children. Then in 1928, Lewis Merriam actually released, it's called the Merriam Report, and that was from the U.S. Department of the Interior. It described the conditions that went on as grossly inadequate. The conditions included in that report were poor nutrition, the poor teaching methods, and poorly stocked hygiene supplies. There was overcrowding. There was also the young children were actually working part-time. That was against child labor laws. So a lot of the recommendations that Lewis Merriam made in his report were focusing on improvement of the curriculum for a lot of these Native American children. He recommended that the dietary, nutritional things improve, and that they focus on improving the curriculum so it was more consistent from place to place. He also suggested that there be some way to make it a bicultural education so that at least when some of these children went back to their tribes, they could remember their languages and also increase their survival skills once they went home. I hope this was informative. Thank you for joining me. Again, this is Dawn McCrae. Thanks.